Breaking news. Zelensky says he's going to go for peace. Donald J. Trump's excited about a Trump administration as they put that together after the meeting with the Russians in Anchorage in August. And now what's happened is I waited, even though news has conflicting stories, Putin officially has said he will accept the 28-point peace plan. Lavrov has too. He quoted the president of Russia. He stated, if it's what was decided in Anchorage under the 28-point peace plan, they'll accept that, but not a watered-down version. That's official. That's the words out of who I tagged in this Russian Foreign Ministry's mouth in the name of Vladimir Putin, and quoted as Putin said. So we're very close. We're very, very close. And as I stated, and I was very comfortable in stating, that those who follow international systems, the five powers of the world, measuring military might of countries around the world, it's pretty hard to deny. It goes USA, Russia, China in certain respects, overtaking both Russia and USA. But when it comes to destructive force in this world, there is no doubt, it's Russia and then USA. And if you don't know about the space platform and the vast levels of hypersonic nukes that Russia's achieved long before everybody else, I don't know what to tell you. And they kept up with that, surpassed everybody, in fact. I'm not going to diminish USA. They have capacities in certain military respects. Air is absolutely one of them. Space and nuclear destructive capability and speed at which they can enter and destroy targets. It's Russia, man. And there's a reason for that. USA has a different outlook in the world. Russia has its massive borders, unlike USA, to worry about, and then the entire world beyond their sphere of influence. That's why they're developed so differently. That's why Russia measures so fiercely high in that category. People can run them down, but if you look at space, technology, and history, Russia's no joke, no laughing matter. It's the language of science. Every language has a level of achievement outdoing other ones. And when we talk about English, USA Webster English, unlike the Oxford World, don't confuse the two. Sure, France, the language of love, but that doesn't win wars, as history shows us. I'm sorry to do that if it offends people, but really, all these things they say about languages is true. And Russia holds their own. USA knows it to be true and accurate. People run down Donald J. Trump, the Trump administration, Marco Rubio. But the reality is, where is Ukraine going to be in a year at the pace this conflict is going? And as Russia proves all the time, in history, time is on our side. They're very methodical, calculated, mathematically correct, scientific, logical, factual. That comes with the Russian language. I don't know what else to say. It's how they developed in history over thousands of years, 1,000 years of Russian history. Pretty hard to deny when you do the studies and you see the world as it really is without a lens of what Oxford English is notoriously famous for and outperforming anyone else in the world is propaganda. Lying and propaganda. Maybe corruption too. I would argue maybe corruption, but I'm just going to stick with what is actual, and that's propaganda and falsification. That's what Oxford English is great for. Yeah. And everything we've been told is a lie. All of your politicians at this time, the things they've been stating for years about Ukraine and Russia, all lies, everybody. And we're seeing it today. And we know, do you know how I know that? And do you know how today's the day, as of 3 hours officially ago, with Volodymyr Zelensky? He's ready to sue for peace and turn over Ukraine territory to Russia. Folks, they wouldn't do that unless the writing's on the wall, their military capabilities, their manpower is coming to an end. And USA's at a point, if we supply you these deep penetrating missiles, they're going to smash you with hypersonic missiles. You smash things like Moscow and the Russian civilian population, and Russia is very, very extremely capable of answering you at the snap of microseconds from space at speeds beyond any measure that there is no NATO system to stop. And if you kill Russians, they will wipe you out. They will wipe you out. And really, what's the world going to say? Imagine on the news, Moscow hit, thousands of Russians dead. Moments later, Ukraine gone. And then what is the world going to say? Well, it was only 10,000 Russians. How dare the Russians destroy that much humanity? And really, USA would answer the same way. You pick a U.S. city and some foreign power kills Americans, USA will answer in the exact same manner. Look at 9/11. Look at 9/11. And look how USA answered. Don't poke bears when you're a chipmunk. And I'm sorry, these are realities when faced with mass propaganda, mass societal fictions promoted by the government and media that absolutely is enshrined and in bed with the government, paid for by the government. We saw it all through COVID. You're seeing it all through the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Complete lies. Anyone who's read the whole rollout all the way through those territories, imagine Canadians, all of the Anglo-Canada starts a conflict with Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, dense French-speaking communities that have always been French, and our excuse is we had to kill them because now everyone's going to be English in Canada, and F the French. A tremendous amount of the population. And can you imagine Quebec sitting there going, I don't think so. And they're watching, for example, the rest of Anglo-Canada pumping out news stories that we're enforcing these things. We're changing the schools. We're going in armed. We're going to kill these terrorists, these French terrorists, when 70 percentile, 78, 81 percentile of that community's population speaks French. And it's always been that way for hundreds and hundreds of years. Can you imagine? And then Canada turn around saying, oh no, to the rest of the world, it's not like that. And the world believing in the Oxford English Canada, killing and destroying all those French Canadians. And if you didn't know this happened in Canadian history, the same way Ukraine went about removing the Russian from those 4 oblasts, I'm sorry, it happened. It's the story of the Acadians, right? And Russia finally had enough and said, you know what? We're not going to allow this anymore. We're done. We had all these arrangements. They've all been violated. Keep going. We don't want to kill everybody. These are our people and our culture and our society too. They've just been institutionalized in a different belief structure, a different form of Christianity that really isn't Christian. Just kind of like what Canada has entirely through its monarchical history. And that's really what happened here. No different. No different. And when you give tyrants power and control, that's what happens. Zelensky says he doesn't need elections because they're at war. America's always had elections. They've been at war more than any other country in the world, and they've always had elections in their history. They've been a perpetual war more than any other country in the entire world. USA's number one in those years of history. And they've always had scheduled elections. They've always had their democratic institutions run uninterrupted, even in world wars. So there's no excuse. USA realizes this. There's a lot of these who've taken too much of Canada's Oxford baloney, British Oxford baloney, the propaganda, the institutionalization, the blind acceptance of fascism in the name of socialism because they're tit for tat. And it's always against those who are on the bad end of fascism, get all the negatives of socialism, while those who are running the fascism take all the rich rewards of socialism. And they're always a minority. That's how it works. That's where Ukraine ended up, whether people want to hear that or not. And the truth is, you couldn't enforce your system, your laws. Russia proved to the whole world they can't. You go another year and there will be not a Ukraine left. No matter what USA does, no matter how much money USA throws into it, outside of USA declaring war on Russia, and then we have a super World War III global conflict. And I don't think anybody wants that. Why would you deny majority Russian-speaking people that have always enjoyed that right of their language to remove it all education, all government access, and all media, all television, and force them into something else and scrap all historical religious beliefs, Christianity, that is old all the way to Jesus Christ. In fact, the oldest Christian churches in the entire world at the time and space of Jesus Christ, in that Christianity. Whether you follow that version of it or not, that Old Testament style, New Testament Christianity is not the issue. The issue is that is its historical roots of the oldest Christian Orthodox system in the world, right in the vicinity of where Jesus Christ was born and lived his life predominantly and preached his truth in New Testament. That is something you can't just dismiss and throw in the garbage and say, that's okay. Mothball all that version of Christianity. That's no different than persecution of any Christian anywhere in any version or belief structure. At least there's a Jesus there, and it's your right. This isn't Russia communism. They cemented that. That was removed from those oblasts that were part of Ukraine, that Ukraine said, no more of that. Doesn't matter what name of anything you say. How can you be a Canadian under your charter with religious freedoms, but yet deny that to those Russians and then participate in a genocide against those people? That's reality. And whether you like it or not, at the end of the day, those with the ability to enforce the law make the law. No two other countries in the world besides rising China prove this beyond any reasonable doubt is the United States of America and the Russian Federation. Here we are today against the whole world objectives, all of that of NATO, all propaganda, all fed especially to Oxford English folks in the Western Hemisphere. Didn't befall America, almost under Joe Biden, and some radical leftists infused with everything Oxford, everything toxic and poison, and its own brand of institutionalization for the United States of America. The same kind of institutionalization that almost got all those people in Russia who went through a hell of a time. And I'm not saying what happened to Ukraine and all the Ukrainian people was good. These are regimes versus regimes. And it's sad that happened. It's a sad loss of life. I don't champion dead children, women and children anywhere. There are international binding laws against this stuff. It's no different than Israel and Palestine. There's no justification in what the Hamas did to Israel, and there's no justification for the response for Israel. This is why the Allies made these international laws. Whether we like it or not, at the end of the day, it's those with the ability to enforce the law, make the law. And that's how it goes. That's how it goes. It's not my beliefs or how offended I am. It's what is, what's always been, and how the world works. If you want to change that, you need to have the might to make right. And that's always been international law. If you've never read The Nature of International Law as It Really Is, my Oxford paper that you can find on YouTube, you should watch it. It's 30 minutes of your life. Deadly accurate, well loved by the Allies of World War II. In fact, even China, I got a great presentation by the Communist Party of China a number of years ago, where they filled me in on all that work I did just in the Asian world, filled in all the history, all the names of the key people involved in that portion of China's history and Africa's history. I got it all in a tremendous paper, probably the first Westerner to ever get a gift like that. I've got lots from Russia, tremendous amounts, a mountain from the United States of America who just loves to share and share all of it like nobody else in the world. You know what I get from Canada and Canada's academia? Who do you think you are? Doesn't matter how much I read, how much I understand, can process, can articulate. My class determines I have no place there. If you were to ask me who's got the worst academia, USA, Russia, China, UK, France, I give you worst UK and all of their Commonwealth countries, especially my own home country, Canada, where I'm not worth the spit from their speech to be in the same room or share the same air. That's how I am. It's in the judicial system too. It's absolutely entirely the Crown-appointed system. That's how it is in Canada. It's awful. Unlike China, Russia, and especially the United States of America, you ever explore these avenues and all these American venues, especially in Washington, D.C., you soon discover as a visiting Canadian that all of a sudden where you're apprehensive and fearful, you realize, wow, they're treating me like an equal to them. And I'm a stranger, a foreigner. I'm treated exceptionally well in the United States of America on many, many governmental fronts, absolutely academia, everywhere you go. You want to get in there? Hey, it's open door, it's okay. While you're in this country, you're equal. You're a real human being. We're going to treat you as well as any other American citizen. Yeah, it's real. Canada, how dare you? How dare you? Especially the appointed. Try to reach out to Governor General or Lieutenant Governor, any province you wish or territory. How dare you, filthy subject? Who do you think you are? How do you think it was in Ukraine over those years, 2014 onward? How do you think it was for Russian speaking inside those oblasts in the Ukrainian territory? How do you think it was for them? You're less than a human being. First Nations in Canada know exactly what I'm talking about. Folks, this is my video, breaking news. I do foresee a conclusion because I don't see an honest truth articulated by the government of the United States. You'll find the military complex knows this to be true. You're already seeing those 6 House representatives, Senate, Congress people, some of which are military. They're already being reprimanded. It's not good for them. Even retired, moved on. You swore that. That's lifetime. You're done. They're going to be done. And folks, USA accepts the fact of truth and reality, at least with the Trump administration, the Republicans. They stick with facts. They stick with truth. They don't lie, even though the Oxford world is nothing but lies. How do you think both Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre, whom over all these last years, including up till just a day ago, 24 hours ago, they both wholeheartedly, publicly, we back Ukraine, we don't accept the deal, blah, blah, blah. Well, Zelensky accepted it, at least in 19 points. There's 9 of which Russia is absolute about, so that there will never be another threat to Russia if they allow Ukraine to exist independently. It's not only just the territories. There's going to be security promises. There's going to be military caps. There's going to be do's and don'ts. And these are going to be enshrined. Restrictions from NATO. And realistically, folks, if Putin doesn't get the 28-point plan, he's just going to continue on for another year, and Ukraine is going to have no country left. And those stories from Russian academics who say, we'll go that route, we'll go another year. The Russian people are fine and capable of staying in military status, funding this system. They have enough in their sphere of influence, as USA knows, and the whole world should know. When it came to COVID, whether people want to hear this or not, who came out with vaccines first, who had the most people done outside of their own nation? Well, that's easily Russia and USA. Number 1, when you look at Russia's population, USA's population, we're arguably first across the line here, first across there, but these are 2 racers in 6 key points that you check mark out of 193 nations. Those 2 in procurement, development, rollout, and effectual sphere of influence affected the most and the fastest with the most success rate out of any other nations in the world, while everybody else was still twiddling their thumbs. Now, China came in 3rd place, but only in the vicinity of China. Sure, you can see it had lots of these developed and rolled out, but only in your country, not your sphere of influence. USA and Russia clearly prove to the world they are 1 and 2. Don't mess with these countries. They will give her, get her done by any means necessary and have astronomical success rates compared to the rest of the world. How do you think that measures in other R&D development rollout? What do you think in space, science, weapons, army, military equipment? Oh yeah. Financial, all of it. Don't fall for the propaganda. See what's been done as of very, very recent. COVID-19 is very recent. Whether you like that or not, people in Canada don't like to hear any of that. You know, your country was garbage. Spent a crap ton of money you never even had. They borrowed a tremendous amount against you and came up snake eyes. And then all you had was a pile of procurement corruption of mass magnitude. of so many institutions, foundations, societies, unions, you name it. Everything. Crown corporations, private sector, runaway corruption with zero results. Zero results for a tremendous amount expended of the people. Not the truth of Russia and USA. When you take that for what it is, whether you believe it or not, is not the issue. What they were capable of doing and showcasing to the world, that answers all your questions. I don't see Ukraine or Canada in anywhere near the top 50, let alone top 10 or top 5 or even top 3. Nowhere near that. They're on the corruption garbage index, which Ukraine's riddled with corruption, astronomically. They haven't changed. They haven't had elections. How could they change? This is the truth. And if anyone ever doubts, I roll out the history of Canada and the Ukrainians, the Poles. I've done that for many, many years. I've never shirked any truths or honesty. I've got Ukrainian in my blood and in my family history, more generations than most. Just in Alberta. Tons. But that Ukraine of that time period is not the Ukraine of today, post-Soviet Union, and then runaway socialism and fascism, that I can recognize as a Canadian, an educated Canadian who went on that journey. I see it a mile away, whether people want to hear it or not. I am not a populist. I only give truths and facts as it is, whether people want to accept that or not. It's the idea of living in the truth as it is, not as I make it up to make my own and then market it and sell it to people. I just give you what is, as it really is. That's all I ever do. I don't care who likes it or loves it. I do care. I want to fix my own country. That is my primary goal. I don't see that. I see statehood, that presidential invite. And I see this template now with what's going to happen with Russia and Ukraine and massive territorial gains. This is lining up for the hard way to Canada, the 51st state. And I hope Canadians are not too self-grandized and delusional in their filthy crown, where now clearly today, Pierre Poilievre and both Pierre Poilievre, Mark Carney, every Liberal, every Conservative, all NDP, all Green Party, the Bloc, because I don't think anyone went other than Ukraine. Remember the Nazi salute? All in the parliament? Yay, yay, we love Nazis. Oh, but we didn't know. We've only had them here 4 times. Yeah, the CSIS reports, you just didn't see it. You were trying to bamboozle and propagate to your Canadian citizenship. You were going to roll that out because you have a tremendous amount of Nazis here in Canada. It's always been there. It's always been a part of Parliament, legislatures, and the Crown, because that's what the Crown is. They want you to forget. They want to recreate a vision of the past, a new history created by your Crown. Get as many Canadians to believe it as possible. This should be over for every Canadian. You now have, just in 24 hours, a complete made ass, horse's ass, of Mark Carney and every Liberal in Canada, Pierre Poilievre and every Conservative in Canada. This is, when I say that, I mean MPs and MLAs. Of course, all the card-carrying institutionalized subjects who've believed the baloney. There's all of those too, a massive majority. You get it from NDP too, can't seemingly read between the lines. You were the Labour Party. That doesn't look like Labour to me. That looks like a deep-rooted Crown acceptance of lies and propaganda that you absolutely knew better about. Same with Bloc. Do you think they're for Quebec's sovereignty and independence when they're lying on that magnitude? What about Elizabeth May and her environmentalism? Is that tremendous lie that she's been supporting propagating as a long-time veteran MP? What does that tell you about her and her bullshit? Folks, this is undeniably reality for all of Canada's Parliament, and I think every single provincial party. Now, I'm going to speak for Alberta, and I know every single MLA in Alberta was Ukraine, kill Russia, destroy. They're all like that. They're all like that. I think people need to get a check with reality, and I think people need to really start hammering all your provincial and federal politicians, because Canadians who stay quiet and go along with the crap, you're next on the chopping block. Because if you don't see this example of Ukraine by the allies of World War II, where did UK and France have any success? What was that thing I taught everybody years ago? Oh yeah, penmanship. For all my long-time loyal followers, you all know about UNSC penmanship. I've rolled that out in great detail. Well, we're seeing that with USA, Russia, and absolutely China on the sidelines. You betcha. And I don't hear UK and France saying, we're going to put an end to this, because Zelensky's already said, I'm going to do it, because he has to do it, or there won't be any Ukraine left, none whatsoever, less than 12 months from now, maybe even much shorter, to be honest, to be frank. And anyone who never saw this, wow, don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. That's what happens when you follow blindly your Oxford system, your government-paid media, and that should alert you, because if they lied about all this at a tremendous epic pace from every political party in Canada, and it's effectually and absolutely a lie, and they've just had their pants pulled down today, 3 hours ago officially, what is wrong with you? What else have they absolutely lied about on epic scales comfortably? When you lie about something like this for years straight in unison, what else have they lied to you about in unison and were so comfortable with it and never leaked the truth out of the bag, stayed on that narrative? People accuse USA of being a cult. Canada is a deep-rooted cult. It's an Oxford English absolute cult. And before French Canadians say, not me. Oh, no, you too. Because France is your system, and you're as deeply troubled as all the Anglo-Canadians. And longer running, in fact, more generations of. In fact, you hold the invention of that, adopted by the British Empire after the 7-Year War, in the boundaries of Canada. This system created here. A shining beacon, the London One Tower in the UK, transformation of that French to English acceptance. Oh yeah. And it's never left Canada. It's absolutely born here and always been here. And it starts with the French, welcomed and adopted by the English. And I say that, France, UK, Oxford English. Oh yeah. That's my video, folks. Share. Get it out there. Be the change. Present the truth. Have the courage. It's real, it's in your face, it's undeniable. I don't care to anything Mark Carney or Pierre Poilievre ever say, or any of the other politicians. And I only bring those two up because that's the party in power, that's the official opposition of His Majesty, both of them, sworn suckholes to lie, cheat, and steal from all of you at an epic, unrelenting pace, exponential pace, because they're so comfortable with it. They'll even lie their way out of this too. Yeah. USA's at fault. I don't care. Oh no, it was a bad choice. I apologize. It was the wrong words to use. Pierre Poilievre, yeah, he's a real bastard. High immigration, let's do it. Mass immigration, I love it. Oh, no, Trump just spanked me too. They've both been epically baseball batted by the United States. They are done with Canada. And again, they are talking about the Western free world. But in these categories they bring up, who's number one? Who's number one in the G7 on all of these issues? Who is predator number one, guilty as charged at an epic level? Oh yeah, that's Canada. And it's entirely all your parties. You Canadians, you First Peoples, you French Canadians go, well, we just got to get Mark Carney out of office and get another socialist fascist sworn to the same system. Show me how that's ever been any better. And don't go, well, Stephen Harper was better than Trudeau. And, well, you know what? The Liberals before him, financially and physically, were better than him. You start looking at global agendas, they were technically better than him. Exponential. And they're both doing it, just like your dad. Blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. Yeah. Yeah. There is no change. No change. It's just a matter of which wealthy elite they fill pockets for, who floats their boat. That's all it is. That's my video. Epic, important, and it's leading us to the next major global conflict for the United States. Epic military conflict. This is the eventual of Ukraine-Russia. What do you suppose the next major territorial conflict between who? Oh, could it be USA and Canada? Absolutely. You're witnessing precedent right before your eyes. As I told you, day after day, week after week, month after month, and now year after year, we are rapidly losing our ability to get a full, happy, cherished Canada, the 51st state. We've left that some time ago. It's getting very dangerous now that there's the hard road, the loss of territorial integrity road. And I've presented that map, that transition at key dates. And all those saying, Trump's going to be gone, he's going to be finished, the Republicans are finished. I gave you another key date, a future prediction. And all of a sudden, old Donald J. Trump's going to be beloved with the highest polling numbers ever, post April 15th, 2026. Tax filing time. Oh yeah, American tax filing time. You will see. God bless, folks. That's my video. Share. Get it out there. Reach as many as you can. I can take the hits. I need your help to share. Bye now.